All right, there's one more thing I forgot to say earlier also that I should have. It's something I actually don't like talking about, but I feel like I have to talk about. Um, the special effects in this movie are out of control. They're fucking amazing. It's hard to see that now because with computers we can do these effects quite easily. But in order to do the kind of anti-gravity effects, the thing where the woman walks upside down and goes through the door upside down, these big special effects, they were done physically. They had to sort of do complicated. They had to rotate the camera to make it seem like she was staying still, when that she was walking around when really she's walking in place. And they rotate the sets, and they built all of these things. The scene where he's jogging around the circular thing, and like how is he? Because gravity is not the deal, so he's going up like gravity is on the outside or whatever. I don't fucking know space. So he's like walking. He does jogging in a big circle like that, like upside down. They had to build a whole set that rotated. I don't like emphasizing that because I don't want it to be like, oh, the movie was great for back then. Because it's not a historical, this is not a history class. I don't want you to teach, I'm not trying to tell you what was good way back when. I'm trying to tell you this movie is good now. But it is worth pointing out that the special effects in this movie are out of control, difficult, and hard, and expensive, and look amazing. Um, cool. Um, so, yeah, I think I've basically got most of what I want here. Um, so Floyd kind of links up the whole thing at the end, right? That the there was a monolith that we know that there's a monolith that evolved apes at the beginning of time to be into human beings, and then they know that they found this thing on the moon, and when they dug it up, it was sending a signal out to Jupiter. And I think the idea is right that it was like a message. If hey apes, if you get the technology someday to make it to the moon, we'll tell you where to go next. Where do they go next? Jupiter. When they get to Jupiter, they fly through a crazy space portal, and then the aliens evolve them yet again, just like they evolved the monkeys. They evolved the humans into a giant space baby. I don't know. Um, who knows what happens next? It's crazy. Um, so and it's this big. It's this big kind of rebirth thing, and it's tied back to the title. Um, it's interesting. The title of the film is 2001: A Space Odyssey. The book The Odyssey is a 600-page poem by Homer from ancient Greece. It's like one of the oldest things that we have ever written, and it involves a guy who goes on a huge voyage, way, way out, past monsters and all kinds of adventures and things, and then at the end he comes home with new knowledge. And that's what happens to Dave Bowman in the movie, right? He travels very far away, and then he turns into a space baby, and he comes home. And again, he's like the next phase of evolution or whatever. And you get that church organ again, because these are large, sort of big secrets. Um, before we leave, I like focusing on details a lot. Before we leave, I want to just talk about two things really quick. One is an editing thing, which there's an edit that I'm going to want to come back to, so I just want you to notice it. One of the things that makes the final room that Dave Bowman is in so creepy and strange is that the rules of filmmaking are broken. If you show a character looking at something on the ground, if you show a character looking at the ground, and then you show a turtle on the ground, and then I can figure out, oh, that's what he's looking at. He's looking at the turtle. It's just the most common thing in movies. Happens in every movie 1,000 times, right? Somebody looks like this, and then they show you what they're looking at. Fine. That happens in this movie, though. But something funny happens. Dave Bowman, you see him in his spacesuit walking around the room, and then he hears a noise. And he looks over, and then the camera shows me what he's looking at. An old man. But then the old man turns around and looks towards the camera, which should be Dave Bowman's eyeballs, doesn't see anything. Then he sits down. Because that's Dave Bowman, older. So something has really gone wrong here, because movies have taught me that that movies are going to show me things through the character's eyes. So the character looks at something, and then we get to see through their eyes what they're looking at. Except Kubrick changes the rules in that scene to make it creepy, so that we see him looking, then we see what he must be looking at, only to discover that he's not there anymore. He's not the thing looking. He's the thing being looked at. The original Dave Bowman we knew in the spacesuit is gone, and it's the Dave Bowman in the black bathrobe that's older that we know. So you're going to see this kind of editing again. It's very, and when we get to Mulholland Drive, but it's a very unsettling thing because it changes the rules of the game for the audience. The audience has gotten used to certain things. Cool. And the last thing I kind of want to, and it's just an amazing detail. And I know we've talked about big cosmic stuff, but I always want to focus on the details too. The final thing I want to see, I'm just looking at my notes to see if there's anything I kind of forgot to mention. The final thing I want to talk about is that 2001 may seem like a terrible, boring movie to you, but it has spawned a lot of imitators. My very favorite type of movie is psychosexual nightmare cinema, and the rest of this semester will be devoted to looking at psychosexual nightmare cinema. But my second favorite kind of movie is people being incredibly sad in space. And 2001 starts that. And 2001 is the best of the bunch, but 2001, so many movies have tried to be like 2001. Big sci-fi thinking about, not about guns and sexy babes, but sci-fi thinking about ideas. Where do we come from? Where are we going? What's the nature of the universe? What's man's place in the universe? Evolution, these big ideas in sci-fi. And there's about 20 or 30 movies that sort of try to do what 2001 does. They all fail in one way or another. None of them are really fantastic, but they struggle and they try. So there are movies like Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, um, Denis Villeneuve's The Arrival, um, Roma Polanski had a movie called Mission to Mars that's doing something similar. There are two recent movies. Brad Pitt was in a movie called Ad Astra, and Natalie Portman was in a movie called Lucy in the Sky. Again, astronauts by themselves in space confronting the big issues of existence. And I could go on and on. Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey in Contact. Um, there's a French movie with Robert Pattinson. If you're a Twilight fan and you want to watch people being really fucking sad in space, there's a movie called High Life, which is a very strange title for the movie, but and that's a fucked up sexual movie also, but also takes place in space. But like again, it's people in space thinking about the big cosmic questions of life and death and rebirth and the meaning of everything. But even Star Wars would be nowhere without 2001 special effects, the giant spaceship, the heavy breathing comes into Star Wars. And I mentioned that Toy Story. Buzz Lightyear says, "To infinity and beyond." That's from this movie, right? The title cards, the last section of the movie is "To infinity and beyond." So it's an incredibly, massively influential kind of movie that's thinking big questions about space and the Dune, about thinking big questions about space and the nature of the universe. And I'm sure that I've forgotten some of the sort of 2000, some of the movies that are kind of riffing off or trying to do a version of 2001. But it's become a kind of hobby of mine to try to watch every single movie that wishes it was 2001: A Space Odyssey, and they all just kind of tank because nobody can live up to this movie. Why? Because you're supposed to make money by pleasing and entertaining the audience. And 2001 was like, fuck the audience. I'm Stanley Kubrick. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. And the audience can figure it out for themselves because they're smart. They have patience. And they'll wait and they'll learn. And he trusted people. And I think that's really the most dramatic thing about the film. Every other movie has talky parts where characters try to explain the craziness. In The Arrival, when they figure out the big secret, I was like, wow, this is amazing, and then they say it out loud in case they think I'm too stupid to have figured it out on my own. Interstellar, crazy things happen, and then someone's like, let me explain what you're seeing here, and just talk and talk and talk and talk to explain it to me, the stupid audience. But 2001 doesn't think you're stupid, and the movies we're going to watch for the rest of the semester, none of them think that you're stupid, and you're not stupid. BMCC students are not stupid. They're fucking great. So thank you for joining me for this crazy journey through 2001: A Space Odyssey. And I will see you guys with the next movie, which is going to be Rear Window. So check out the website and the assignments and ask me questions and stay in touch with me. And I have office hours and, get the movies and plan ahead. And these videos are here and you check them out. And thank you for joining me for this insanity.